An understanding of how we arrive in the today and now is only understood by a slow process of cultural change and scientific understanding. By allowing our thinking to span to the birth of these disciplines in relatively modern times will perhaps encompass the great broken cycle of change that seems forever inevitable. All roads lead back to a certain point in history, but the Greeks, they had only begun when everything else had seemingly ended. They therefore were picking up the pieces of the before time. Intellectuals in the ancient times of the Greek Empire approached the big questions of life in a genuine scientific way, sometimes in mystic ways, but always in an imaginative fashion. For example, Pythagoras was considered a charlatan for claiming the doctrine of reincarnation, a half-naked Socrates forcefully lecturing people in the street with provocative and unanswerable questions, and Aristotle tutoring great generals. These are examples of how Greek thinkers dared to question traditional convention and to challenge the prejudice of their age, putting their own lives at stake for the sake of advancing human understanding. Greek philosophy as an independent cultural genre began around 600 BC, and its insights still persist to modern times. Caught in the clash between cultural conservatism and innovation, we find a peculiar character in the form of the great Socrates, the pivotal figure in Greek philosophy and the wisest among Greeks at his time, according to the oracle at Delphi. Socrates enjoyed teaching, but unlike many great intellectual teachers, he never requested a fee in return for his teaching and lived a life of austerity. He either underestimated or ignored most of the topics that were popular among his predecessors. Before the time of Socrates, other philosophers' main concern had been the physical world and how to explain it naturally. However, Socrates set in motion a new approach by focusing entirely on moral and psychological questions. His methodology sought to define key questions such as, what is virtue? What is patriotism? What do you mean by morality? As a result of this, most of his debates ended with even more questions than answers, and this, of course, is the great unfurling of the human mind, which appeared set like stone in the way of the day, the central issue unanswered, and the disputing ignorance of many topics revealed. Since he invariably proved that the words being used by his contenders were actually abstract terms with an empty meaning. By combining a humble spirit, he never claimed to be any wiser than anyone else, and a strict believer in the unknown and the understanding of the things of the unknown. For example, he said he knew nothing and therefore humanity knows nothing, but with a method that challenged conventional assumptions and intolerance for unclear thinking. Socrates gradually earned enemies from various sectors of Athenian society. He was, consequently, put on trial and condemned to death. However, Athenians did not like to condemn a citizen to death, therefore, this was merely a formal sentence, and he was offered the possibility to escape. He refused to do so and obeyed the jury's decision. A mixture containing poison hemlock took away his life, but his example granted him immortality, and his example to question everything in society remains. In the grand scheme of the universe, he can't be wrong. What do you know? It would seem that we do know nothing, and we look to God for answers to these types of questions. Can answers be found, or does it always lead to a bigger pool of many, many more misunderstandings of things we know very little about? But what do you guys think about this? Comments below, and as always, thank you for watching.